My dear ones, our guest today is another successful businessman with a wonderful story to tell. I did promise we would be talking with a series of them by now, and Dennis J. Henson is the last in this series. Dennis first made his mark in real estate and in the whole real estate investment world, really. In 2003, he founded Vanguard Marketing and Investments Incorporated, and he continues to serve as its president, but he tells me now he's semi-retired and he worked for a while also, I guess, as president of Arlington Real Estate Investing Association. He quit that in 2018, and over the past several years, he taught individuals and classes in real estate investing, and he wrote two books about real estate investing. So he knows real estate investing pretty well, and I think this is an exciting field. I have worked with, as you know, I'm an attorney for business owners, and I've worked with several who have been very, very successful with real estate. His two books in that field are The Royal Flush of Real Estate Investing, and I love this title, A Millionaire's Treasure Map to Real Estate Investing. But meanwhile, while he was also doing that, he was speaking on these topics worldwide. More recently, he's dedicated a lot of his time to a broader focus on helping people to develop the mindset and the habits that are needed in order to achieve true success. We're going to be talking about some of that today. It's very important, and this may not be intuitive, but it's true. It's very important if you want to develop real success to be a reader. Several people, Nikola Tesla is one, and we think of him as a car, but he's not a car. Before he was a car, he was a very, very important thinker in the 19th and early 20th centuries. And he always said, most of all, he loved books. There was a saying in the middle of the 20th century. It was a series of advertisements, I think, in magazines. Send me a man who reads. And I never forgot that as a child, thumbing through magazines. Send me a man who reads. My parents wouldn't allow me even to watch television until I guess I was 7 or 8 years old. So I was a man who reads for sure when I was very young. It's very important to be a reader, as Dennis will tell us today. His new book is called Real Impact, Daily Inspiration, and I've been sort of reading through it, browsing through it during the week before this interview. I love it. It's a book full of inspiration for people who read. It's intended to help people develop the habit of reading daily content that will improve their belief in themselves and will inspire them to action. He says, and this is sort of, he says, sort of sums up what he advises people: form the habit of reading the right things every day. So, Dennis, welcome to Seek Reality. I'm eager to hear more of what you have to say.
Well, thank you very much, Roberta. I appreciate you having me.
So, let's talk about reading. Now, what is it? What is it that reading really helps us with most of all?
I taught, I started a real estate group back in 2005. And after I started the group, I thought, well, if I want to learn to become a better real estate investor, if I teach someone, I'll learn more. So I started having what I called elite classes, where I taught, the more technical aspects, subject to short sales, notes, and a number of other things. I did that for about 10 years. One of the members came up to me one day and said, Dennis, I'm retiring in about a month, and you're going to be my mentor, and you're going to teach me what you do. His name was Mike Chase. And I said, Mike, I really don't have time. I'm busy with my real estate business. I have this group. I have to do the teaching. I'm not really interested in one-on-one training, but thank you for warning me. So he looked at me really strange and he said, Dennis, you didn't understand what I said. He said, I'm retiring in about a month and you're going to teach me how to do what you do. And I tried to slough him off, but he was very adamant. So he invited me to lunch and we went out to lunch. And after lunch, He said, okay, let's get down to business. Had on a suit about like this, and he reached in and he pulled out a checkbook and he opened it and handed it to me, and he said, fill this in. And I said, you mean the amount? And he said, yes. And I thought, well, I'll fix him, but this will solve this because I'm going to put an amount here that no one in their right mind would pay. And so I handed it back to him, and he tore the check out, signed it, and never even looked at the amount. He
Oh my
handed,
goodness.
and so that's when I started teaching individuals.
Yeah. What the heck?
Over the next, I guess, 8 or 10 years, I started in 2008. It was 10 years. I had over 400 students, and they were super successful. I mean, they were a lot more successful than me. I guess I was lazy, but they really did well. And so, because of that, I got invited to come and speak at real estate meetings and at expos and be on podcasts. One day on a podcast, the host said, Dennis, why are your students so successful? And I said, well, I haven't changed their habits. If they can form success habits, they will become successful. Then he said, what is the number one most important success habit that you could share with my audience? And I thought for a second. I said, form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves you toward your goal. So after the podcast was over, I thought, that was a really good answer. Wouldn't it be great if there was some kind of a tool or an app or a book that could help people form that habit? And then it hit me. Dennis, you've been collecting success books, short and long stories, poems, and quotes for 50 years. You could put those in a book, and someone could easily form the habit of reading every day something really powerful that moves them toward the goal. And a bonus is they have to have a goal. One of the reasons my real estate investing students were successful is because they knew what they wanted. They wanted to become successful real estate investors.
Right.
One of the problems with most people today is they get these desires. A desire it's a gift. It really is. It's saying, here's what your purpose in life is. Here's the desire. And you wouldn't have gotten the desire if you were not able to achieve that goal. But they say, oh, well, I would love to do that, but, and their butt gets in the way. I would love to do that, but I don't have the money, I don't have the education, I don't have the looks, I don't have the friends, I don't have, all of these reasons. And so they slough it off. Well, when you form the habit of reading something positive every day that moves you toward your goal, it reminds you every day of that goal, and it lets you not only read, you take steps in that direction, steps. And if you do that over 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it's amazing what you can accomplish. It's just amazing. And the truth is, my students amazed me. I was just shocked. Some of the, when I started writing the book, Real Impact, Daily Inspiration, I didn't have anything to put in the front for testimonials so I thought, well, I'll just contact some of my students and I'll just say, would you give me a testimonial because you're successful? Tell me what you thought about the training. And so the very first part of the book is just testimonial after testimonial after testimonial of people saying, you need to listen to what this guy says because it is amazing what happened. Well, it wasn't me. It was just, I knew the combination. If you know the combination, you don't have to look good or have a lot of money, or you just tell them the combination and they just go put that in and click, it works. So this book is the combination. If you read it in the front of the book, it says introduction and it says the magic formula. Well, Roberto, it's not magic, but it seems like magic. it's like gravity. Gravity seems like magic,
Yeah,
but
that's
it
true.
always works. If you hold up a bottle and let it go, it always goes down. You don't ever have to say, well, sometimes it goes this way. No, it goes down every single time. So the book is full of that kind of thing. I call them the laws of nature. I learned about them back in 1975 when I started in my business career. Uh, a vice president named Jack McConaughey of a very large company took me under his wing. Now, there were hundreds of people there. And he took me under his wing and he said, I want to tell you some things. And he started telling me about these laws of nature. Well, they'd already given me some books. They gave me Think and Grow Rich and Success, the Glenn Bland Method, and The Greatest Salesman in the World by Mendino. So I was thinking about how great these books were. And when he started telling me about the laws of nature, I said, Jack, stop. He said, why you want me to stop? I said, well, I'm sold. Where's the book? I'll read it. Where's the laws of nature? He laughed. And he said, no, Dennis, it's not in one book. It's in a lot of books. You have to go out and find them. And there's not just one, there's a lot of them. But if you can find them and work within those laws, your life is going to be wonderful. It'll be simple. Things will come to you. But if you work against those laws, you're going to have a struggle. You're going to have a hard time because people cannot fight against the laws of nature. So at that point, 1975, I started writing a book. I'm going to finish it this year. It's called The Laws of Nature. And so I've come up with 7 laws that deal with business and anything else. Well, it's not just business. My background's in real estate, but that's a business.
Of
But
course.
it could be, if you want to become a doctor, it could be medicine, it could be the law. One of the stories in the book is about Abraham Lincoln, and he considered himself a floating piece of driftwood. He didn't know what he wanted. And then he found these law books from Old England, and he read them and he just fell in love with them. And so he started attending trials. And when he sat down in that courtroom, he thought, I'm home. This is what I was meant to be. And so he only had a first grade education, but he said, I'll do whatever it takes to become an attorney. And he did. He passed the bar. He became probably the second most prominent attorney in Illinois of the day, very highly paid and well respected. And then that boosted him into his political career. We all know what happened there. But that's a really wonderful story. And all of the stories in the book are about people who knew what they wanted and they just got knocked down over and over. And you'd think they can't get up again. It's just impossible. How are they going to get past this? Yet they knew what they wanted. They had the will and the desire, and they just got up and dusted their pants off and just continued until they are so successful that we all know their names. I mean, you
Yeah.
instantly recognize their name, and you would have never thought that they had all those struggles that they had to overcome.
Yeah, he thought repeatedly he was a failure. Lincoln did.
That's right. Yeah,
And
I think
then
Lincoln,
suddenly he's the president. Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Lincoln failed over and over. In fact, one time the sheriff collected his survey tools and sold them to pay his debts. That's how low he got. And he continually failed, but he became the president. So,
Somehow something clicked there.
something changed. And really what changed Lincoln is what this book is about. When you read the Lincoln story, it's just a perfect example of why this book will change your life. And Roberto, this is really a life-changing book. It really is. Somebody
Yeah,
that's just
let's hold up the book
okay.
here. This is the very book. Here we are. This is the book. And it's full of stories like that. The first one is about Sylvester Stallone, and it's so pathetic. This man was the most pathetic individual, and he got to the point where he could either feed himself or his dog.
Right.
So what did he do? In order for him to eat, he had to sell his dog, the poor pathetic dog.
Yeah, he actually sold the dog so that the dog would have food.
Yeah, but I mean, one of them had to eat it, and so he couldn't feed the dog, so he sold the dog. So,
But he came
but
back.
eventually he did buy the dog back.
Yes. Yes. He sold it for $25 and bought it back for 15,000.
No, I mean, but it's a quite a compelling. If that's the first story, you wonder what will the next one be because that was pretty big. Um,
Someone
and
read,
Lincoln. I mean, we memorized 4 score and 7 years ago. Our forefathers brought. I mean, the greatest almost one of the greatest speeches ever given. And the
right,
poor man, he sadly walked down from having given one of the greatest speeches ever been given. And he looked at his friend and he said, Laban, that speech won't scour. And he was dejected and he walked away. And everybody in school memorizes that speech. I mean,
exactly,
these people never thought they were going to be such big shots in their lives, but look what they became.
exactly.
That was Lincoln.
One of the one of my friends read the book and came to my office and he said, Dennis, I read your book. And I said, well, that's great. Which did any of the stories move you? Which one did you like? And he said, I like the story of the little girl from Brazil who couldn't speak English, who became super successful. And I laughed and I said, that's really not a story in the book. That's a testimonial from one of my students. So I called her. She was in Brazil again. I called her in Brazil and I said, you have the best story in the book. And she said, oh, well, that's great. I really love the book because I had sent her one. I sent everybody that did the testimonial a book. And she was saying that she was honored because she thought they were good stories. But Roberta, the stories were good before I put them in the book. I couldn't fail. I had collected the stories that had moved me over years and years and years and years. So all I had to do was polish them a little bit and put them in the right order. And the book was going to be good because they were already great stories, you know. And then the poems, some of those poems just bring me to tears. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, so many people's stories are wonderful that they never even make it into a book. I think we all need to understand that. Everybody has the opportunity to live their own heroic story. All we have to do is just keep going. Someone did a study, and I read about this study when I was very young, so they did it a long time ago. He wanted to know what the difference was between the people who were great successes and the people who were not.
mhm.
Do you know what he discovered the difference was? The
Yes, I do.
people who had been the great successes had just kept trying.
Right.
That was the only difference he could find. They didn't give up. And that's what these stories really show. When you
Exactly.
think about it, they just kept trying. They sold their dog so the dog could eat. They just kept giving those speeches until they finally became the president. They did the things they had to do to keep going and follow their dream. And that's what's great about your book because that's what the book really says. Those stories are about people who kept trying. They didn't give up.
And by reading something like that every single day, it can
Yes.
to remind you of what is your goal, and you don't have to give up. You just hang in there.
It's
Like
a human choice. And if your choice is never to give up, I will not give up.
it's a test. It really is. Do you really deserve to get this thing, that this gift of this desire that you really want? Do you really deserve it? So everybody has to pass the test. And some
You have to
people,
decide that you are going to keep trying no matter what.
regardless of what, yes. And
You
if,
have to decide that, yes, you deserve it. And yes, you're going to keep doing it. And yes, you will keep doing it.
right. I think it was Jeff Bezos that I heard say something about that on YouTube just a couple of days ago. He said people just don't understand that giving up is not an option.
It's not an option.
I would just hang in there a little bit longer. There's a poem in that book called "Don't Quit." You may know that poem. You know, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when funds are low and debts are high, when you want to smile, but you've got to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. That's just, I mean, that just sent chills through me. Of course, the whole poem is in the book. And there every poem in that book is like that. It just picks you up and pushes you. I mean, it just says, okay, you can do this. Get up and go. I love the story of Mary Kay. She was just unstoppable.
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's it.
Such a
You
rough
cannot
start in life.
quit. There is an answer somewhere. Our guest next week will be, I think it's her third or fourth time. She ended up telling she ended up writing a book about it. That she was in a serious accident and they could not make her able to walk again. She was in a wheelchair for I think 10 years and finally she decided this is not my life. And she herself cured herself. And now she spends her life going around TED Talks, teaching, and she's a beautiful woman who walks just fine after all the doctors told her she never would walk again.
Right,
Whatever you want to do, you can do, provided you decide you're going to do it.
right. Well, Ben Hogan was in a terrible car accident and they didn't even think he was going to live. And when they finally saved his life, they told him not only would he never play golf again, he'd never walk again. And 11 months later, he was playing in a tournament and he was yet to win the three, you know, the three largest tournaments. I mean, Ben Hogan is still considered one of the greatest golfers to ever live, and that's after the accident. So it's amazing what people can do. The underlying theme of this, it's funny, I live in Arlington, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I like to use acronyms. So the Dallas-Fort Worth is DFW, DFW, and then Arlington is A. So when I was writing the book, I kept these things in mind: desire, faith, will, and action. So all of the stories are built around desire, faith, will, and action. All of these people had terrible struggles. They shouldn't have succeeded. I mean, they were just in Lincoln's case, it would take a miracle for him to become successful. I mean, but it wasn't just one miracle, it was 20. 20, it was miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. Yet he persevered and became the president. And the name of the story is uh, Providence. Was it Providence? You know, was Lincoln lucky or was it Providence? Well, Lincoln was not a lucky man.
No.
Sorry, you see, he was not lucky. So what's left?
Right, right, right. That's absolutely right. No, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Henry Ford. Yeah, that's one of the quotes in the book. I appreciate that.
No, I live by that because it's true. It is so true. Look at our current president. I mean, I was not a fan, not at all. My husband saw him walk down or go down, was that an escalator or something? He said, he's going to win. I said, I said, you're crazy. But then I was sort of idly with my husband watching when suddenly he turned his head and and there was a gunshot. Now, you tell me that was not God that made him turn his head. I don't, I said,
But you and I,
okay,
you and I are on the same page about everything. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said. And
okay. For some reason, and I guess maybe we're seeing it unfold now, that it was a decision, it was a defined decision that we needed him. Now, do we need him because we needed a good licking right about now? Maybe so. But I do think it was divine providence that decided we needed this good licking that we're getting right now, which seems to be working in some way. Okay, that's what's happening. And it's probably I think it's certainly at this point for the good of the country.
I agree.
We need this. And but if there ever was anybody who made a decision and you could not, I mean, there was no way he was not going to be president twice, even. And there was nothing that was going to stop him, not even two assassinations.
Yeah.
Not even how many times have they tried to put him in jail? Not even everything.
The
There
list
was
is goes
there's a
on.
will in this human being that you cannot stop. Whether you like him or you hate him. What an example of an indomitable human will.
That's right.
Take him for that. But he is an example of an indomitable, absolutely indomitable human will. You cannot go against, never bet against him. If ever there's a chance to make a bet, I would bet against, not bet against that man because you're going to lose.
I agree with that.
But I think that what the stories in your book do, and what everything in your book does, is to help people see that human will in all of us. All of us are, all of us have some of that will in us. It's impossible. Once, once you have that drive and you
It's
really seize it
right.
in yourself,
It's called a burning desire. That's another book that I'm writing, by the way. A burning desire needs to be sparked. I mean, at some point, you see it in the stories and you see it in people. At some point, something hits them and their life changes direction. And once they develop that burning desire, when I started in business, the company gave me three books: Think and Grow Rich, Success, the Glenn Blend Method, and The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. When I finished reading those books, I was a different person than the person who picked those books up. I,
yeah,
I had never been exposed to anything like that. And the feeling I had was euphoria. I could not wait to
yes,
and achieve my goals. And achieving the goals was the success. Getting there is kind of anticlimactic. But the the successes the steps that you take along the way, that's really the success. It's your life and it's your enjoyment. But after feeling that euphoria, I wanted to feel it again. And so I sought out other books. Now, this was in 1975. There wasn't an internet, there wasn't a Google. If you went to the library and say, I want a book that's going to make me euphoric. They don't know what
It
you're.
gave you that feeling. Yeah, that the librarian thinks you're crazy, right? They don't get it.
I had to seek out other successful people. I had to seek out people who had experienced success. And I said, well, what do you read? What do you read? And so over the years, I would read a book or two or three, and then one would really be good. And I would keep that book. I would make a list of just the ones that moved me. And I did that for 50 years. I started in 75, and this is 2025. And I met Jim Rohn early in my career, and he said, write everything in the journal. You might need it someday. You never know. You know, it's thing it reminds you of stuff. So I started writing these books down. And that list of books is in the back of this book. Now, Roberta, you couldn't pay someone to read for 50 years and just keep the book that motivates, that gives you that feeling of euphoria. It's like a drug. You need more and more and more, but every time you get more euphoric, your burning desire increases and your life becomes.
But these books, these people who write these books, who feel that feeling,
Yes,
and this president now, all of them have something in common.
right,
They feel that this euphoria, and then they start realizing that they have it for a purpose. It's
exactly.
a purpose greater than they are.
That's true.
They they they're doing it for something greater than themselves. I mean, this president lives not one more moment now without realizing that he's on borrowed time. He's been given this time as a gift, and the gift is to make this country better. He
I,
has said it over and over and over again.
yes,
He's living on borrowed time, and the borrowed time is a gift, so he can give it to the country.
right.
That's it. And every person who has written those books that you love, they all realize they've been given the gift of being able to write those books so
That,
that they can make your life better and your life better and your life better and every person's life better. It isn't just for them and to make money because the thing, and I work with business owners. That's been my career as an attorney. And every single one of them got to the point where they had made enough money and what they wanted to do was make other people's lives better. That's the point of living. It's not for yourself. It's not because you want a new roles because you had one roles, you've had them all. It's just to make other people's lives better. And that's the glory of all of this because you get to do that.
that's one of, I heard Napoleon Hill made a speech right after he'd written Think and Grow Rich. And I often wondered, do people like Socrates know that people will still be quoting them 1,000 years after they're gone?
No, no, they don't, I don't
Maybe
think.
they didn't. But Napoleon Hill held the book up and said, this book is helping thousands of people change their lives, and it will continue to help millions. And I thought he knew. Napoleon Hill knew
Yeah,
because Napoleon Hill has made, well, Andrew Carnegie probably made 50 or 60 millionaires during his life, 50 or 60, no, well, or even after his life. Napoleon Hill made 1 million millionaires, 1 million at least, and maybe more. And his
yeah,
book continues to inspire and motivate people and put them on the right track. The same way you mentioned Agmendino almost committed suicide. He saw a gun in the window in a pawn shop, and it was $29, and his last penny was he had $30 in his pocket, and he thought, I'll go buy that gun, and it'll end this misery. I won't have to see that face in the mirror anymore.
yeah.
And he decided not to, and then he went on to become this great author. I mean, I just love his books, and he's the one that got me started on success habits. And success habits are really a key. Successful people, whether they intentionally do it or not, they have success habits. Well, you can intentionally do it. You don't have to wait around and just see if it happens. you can find out what they are and go do them. And
Yeah,
a book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, will help you form that first super success habit. And if it's okay, I'd like to give everyone that's listening in a free ebook, if that's okay.
sure. How would they get it?
They go to realimpactbook.com, scroll to the bottom, and you can do this right now. It says podcast attendee right at the bottom. You click on that, you put in your name and email, and instantly you get the download. You can have this book before this podcast is over, and you won't be put on the mailing list. I mean, there's a choice there where you can say, let me know when you write your next book. If you click on that, I'll let you know when I write a book. But this is not a spam list. I want this book to get in a lot of hands and change a lot of people. And it's not about making money, it's about helping people. And like Zig Ziglar said, if you can help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And I believe that too.
Well, that's all that you want or need at this point in your life anyway.
That's true.
That's really what you want. You want to make people happy. You want to make people feel good about themselves and feel good about the world.
That's something, everybody can make somebody happy every single day. And here's how to do it. Let's just say that you bought Roberta's book and loved it. Go to Amazon and find it and give her a 5-star rating and say, oh, I love this book. You should read it. Now, you will have made her day, because the next time she goes to Amazon, she's going to say, oh, I got a new rating. And, oh, it's wonderful. What did they say? You can do that every day, and you're helping them and you're helping other people by saying, this was really a good book. Read it. And you're helping them form that habit of reading every day by giving them something interesting and positive to read. And you're helping the author, because they probably spent 5 or 6 years putting that information together, and it was hard. And now you're giving them a pat on the back. So,
Yeah. Anytime you can do something kind for somebody else, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing.
I agree.
We go through life being kind. Yeah, it's we're coming close to the end of our time today, actually. It goes really fast, which is really it always surprises me how fast it goes. But now you said you're working on some new books. What are those books?
Well, I have several real estate investing books. If you're interested in real estate investing, how to get started investing in real estate, 66 ways to find great deals, the 5 M's of real estate investing, and all the money you will ever need. So that's a series. The, the books about motivation would be The 7 Secrets of Success, A Burning Desire, it's the next one, and The Laws of Nature. So,
Wow. So
yeah,
so you're planning a good long life of writing, which is the most fun you could possibly have.
that's right. And I'm almost finished with Real Impact 2 and 3. And it's funny, the third one, you're going to love the third one because it's spiritual.
Yeah, great.
I looked up some of your podcasts, Jack Canfield. I thought, oh, you're going to love Real Impact 3 because it's all about that.
Yeah.
And my mother was one of the people you're talking about. She literally passed away. She died. They pronounced her dead, and she was having a baby. And she realized the baby was going to die if if she didn't go back. And she could tell this story, but this was back in the 50s. You couldn't tell anybody that back then. I mean, nobody believed you. You were
No.
crazy. But she told about leaving her body, and she could tell who was in the room. She could tell what was on the monitors,
Of
you know,
course.
and then she came back and said, "No, save my baby," and ended up saving her. And
Oh,
anyway,
what a wonderful story that is. That really is. Is she still with us or has she since gone?
She died in '85. She's been dead for 40 years, but I still think about her every day. She was
Of course you do. Yeah, it's what's wonderful is we know for certain when you have your turn to graduate, you'll see her again and get to hug her, and she'll be real and solid and young and beautiful. And it's the great thing about the whole eternity that we go to is that there's no bad news at all. So it's all wonderful and positive. I should spend more time educating about that, but I sort of feel I've done that. And I just got to get the news today. I'm going to be going uh, teaching about it in Italy in the fall, which
wow.
which is hysterical. Then I would be able to say, I'm an international teacher. I think that's so funny. Oh my goodness. Oh my heavens. Yeah, if I ever want to talk about my credentials, there's a credential I'll have. You have that credential too. You've taught internationally as well. I know, I saw that on your
Right.
credentials.
But that's kind of easy to do if you just, one or two other countries, and then you could say, well, I'm an international
Well,
speaker.
absolutely, absolutely. You and I have all these credentials. It's just, it's really fun. Well, I think this has been wonderful. I think what you're doing is just great. I'm so glad you have all these things to write about. Writing is being able to write for joy and know that you're helping people is the most fun there is. There's no one who is having more fun than you are, and I know that. I think it's just a spectacular thing, and I just love your book. I'm going to hold it up again. I love this book. I recommend it strongly. And you say they're going to be 2 and 3 as well?
Yes, yes. The book you're holding up is the paperback. The deluxe edition is so nice. I was being interviewed by someone who produces books, who owns a book publishing. He's a publisher, and he didn't
Mhm.
publish this book, but he held it up and he said, "This is the nicest book I've ever held in my hand." That's how nice the deluxe edition is. And if you want to give somebody a legacy gift they'll keep forever, hardcover book, they'll give it to a grandchild or someone graduating from high school or college
Yeah,
under $50. It's like $35, which
yeah,
give them a nicer gift that would have more of an impact.
yeah. Well, it's just a lovely to have it on your side table and have something great to read before, a happy story to read before they're because the stories are short. But they're all wonderful, positive stories to read before you go to sleep. I think that's just fabulous, just beautiful.
Well, thank you so
So,
much.
I just need to tell everyone who's going to be with us next week, and I'll be right back. So, just give me a moment to do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Oh, everybody, this has been fun. Once again, my beloved friends, we've come to the end of our time. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you were with us today to sort of talk about these very enjoyable things. Please never forget, never, ever forget that you are a powerful and you are an eternal being. You never began and you never will end. And when you get that, all the implications of that great fact, it's going to change everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be the wonderful Brandy Gilmore, who'll be with us for the fourth time. I thought it was the third or the fourth. Brandy suffered a traumatic accident, and doctors couldn't help her. She had to be in a wheelchair and she had to actually figure out and learn how to heal herself. And so now she walks normally. Her story is actually almost unbelievable, but she tells it in her wonderful book, Master Your Mind and Energy to Heal Your Body. She did it. She can talk about how to do it for yourself. And she's just a wonderful, kind, beautiful person. Please be sure to join us next week because to be in her presence is just a wonderful thing. You're going to love this. And today our guest has been Dennis J. Henson, who has been with us for the first, but I don't think the last time. He's got so many books that are coming up, so we'll have Dennis back again. He's a successful businessman who has more or less spent his very successful career also reading and studying and figuring out a lot of things that he now is able happily to share with other people in these great books. This book, which I'll hold up again, is called Real Impact Daily Inspiration. And it really is. I've been using it as my daily inspiration this week. And I think I'm going to keep doing that. I've got to finish it. It's full of inspirational reading. I just couldn't put it down. Dennis says his book is not meant to be read the way I've been reading it, going from one page to the next. He says it's like fine wine, it should be sipped. So I'll be doing that too, Dennis. I'll do it the way you say I should be doing it. He's been a success in his business life, but as he tells us deepening our personal and spiritual success is every bit as important in leading us to live a truly well-rounded life, and that's very important too. Also, as you know, our great friend Craig Hogan is the president and guru of Seek Reality Online, and that's your one-stop resource for all things afterlife. Just go to seekreality.com and you can start to learn for yourself that your own reality really is eternal, whether you like it or not. Some people say, I don't want to go to the afterlife. I think I'll just, blink out like a light. You don't even have that option. Your life really is eternal. And of course, teachingsbyjesus.com is your best resource for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us in perfect love by the greatest teacher of them all, Master Jesus. As the false Christianity, I'm sorry to call it that, but that's what it is, that was created by the Roman Emperor Constantine begins to end all around us, the true Christianity that was brought to us by Master Jesus is now going to begin to resurrect. So now we finally are going to get to learn what Jesus actually did come to teach us. Teachingsbyjesus.com is just beginning, and you can, of course, go there and see what Jesus actually taught. And as that website, as under his direction, as that website builds out, I think it's going to become more and more a place where you can go and learn what Jesus actually did teach. And that's all the time we have. I don't have time to talk about my own books because we spent too much time talking about these wonderful books of our friend Dennis. But if you want to talk about anything at all, you can just go to the green contact block on robertagrimes.com and just send me an email. I answer all my emails, but it can take a while because I get so many of them. And all of our nearly 600 past episodes of Seek Reality are available wherever audio podcasts can be found. You can also see our new video episodes each week on Roku, Fire Stick, and elsewhere. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy and make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, you are an eternal being, and most of all in this entire universe, you are perfectly, beautifully, and infinitely loved.